George Pickens traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a third and a fifth round pick. Third being next year in the draft in which you host in Pittsburgh, and then the 2027 fifth that you also received, trading away a sixth rounder in 2027 to kind of offset that. So, man, I've kind of given this a day to digest, kind of form my opinions, see what other people are saying. Pittsburgh fan base in general, kind of some guys that are respected in the media there. And it seems pretty 50-50 that one side is happy to see George Pickens traded away and gone from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and another 50% is outraged, furious, full of anger to see a young, dynamic, explosive receiver. I shouldn't say dynamic, I should say explosive receiver gone from a team that you just traded for DK Metcalf. You're kind of holding out in a quarterback situation, which we'll talk about in this. At least looks somewhat promising. You draft Caleb Johnson from Iowa there, looking like a formidable offense. And now, after the draft, you trade away George Pickens. I think we can start with this, right? We know what kind of person, we know what kind of player you're getting with George Pickens. Mike Tomlin has come out, not once, but multiple times saying he needs to grow up. He needs to grow up. Look at historically the receivers that Mike Tomlin has moved off of. Martavius Bryant, Deontay Johnson. When guys like that, when Mike Tomlin is moving off talented receivers like that, what does that trend tell you about George Pickens? Deontay Johnson post-Pittsburgh is damn near out of the league. I know he just kind of signed a one-year deal with the Cleveland Browns, but his whole career was a mess last year. Martavius Bryant, kind of the same situation, some other stuff there, but history tells you when Mike Tomlin is ready to move off of a receiver, there's a pretty damn good reason why. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for an owner like Jerry Jones to step in and say, oh yeah, we'll trade. We would most certainly trade a third round pick for George Pickens. And I'll get to the Dallas side of this in a second because I do like it for them. There's a couple things that are iffy, but for the most part, I like them acquiring George Pickens. Let's finish things up here with the Steelers, right? I feel so bad for this team. I really do. Because you are in such a unique situation where you're just holding out hope still that Aaron Rodgers is coming to play quarterback for your team. Aaron Rodgers is holding this team hostage at the quarterback position. Now, I'm not saying him not signing pre-draft is the reason that they didn't maybe take a quarterback higher. I'm not even saying it had to be Shedeur at 21. They didn't have their second round pick due to the trade with DK Metcalf, but would you move up in the third to jump a team you knew like Milroe to get a guy like that? They stay, take Will Howard in the sixth, so really no quarterback competition coming in, and you're currently deploying Mason Rudolph and Will Howard at the quarterback position while you wait for Aaron Rodgers. And the new kind of buzz is that he's waiting for the schedule to release to see how many primetime games the Steelers have and things like that. Why would he expect the Steelers to not have at least, in my opinion, probably 2, 3, 4 primetime games? You're playing in the AFC North. You're going to be playing Lamar Jackson, perennial MVP, Joe Burrow. They're going to be one of the teams that are heavily looked at this year. Can they get back to the playoffs and make some noise? And then Cleveland Browns, I mean, they are terrible, but what happens if Shedeur, I hate talking about him still, but what happens? I'm sure they're going to find a way to get them on prime time. I would hope as an NFL fan we're not watching Steelers Browns week whatever in Monday Night Football. But we saw worse games, even dating back to last year. I feel like we've saw some terrible primetime games, and majority of that was because of Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. So NFL obviously values Aaron Rodgers and the team that he plays on. Think about how many games that the Jets had on primetime the first year that he went to the Jets and tore his Achilles, which is terrible as it is. But then we had to sit there and watch Zach Wilson in primetime games over and over and over and over. It was just brutal. But you're holding out hope that Aaron Rodgers is coming to play quarterback for your team, and you trade away now George Pickens, who I get it, him and DK are kind of similar receivers, but now you're looking at a receiver room that is filled with DK Metcalf, Robert Woods, Calvin Austin, who was in the same draft class as George Pickens in 2022, which, by the way, is historically one of the worst draft classes I've ever saw from a NFL organization. This is the same 2022 draft class. Round 1, Kenny Pickett. Round 2, George Pickens. Your first 2-round picks are no longer on your team. DeMarvin Leal, defensive tackle, round 3. Calvin Austin, round 4. Connor Hayward, a fullback, tight end, and round 6. I mean, you basically, an entire draft class, absolutely nothing. No value on this team in 2025-26 season. It's just, that is mind-boggling to me that it was that bad. Back to George Pickens, right? Like I said, you know what kind of guy he is. You see the problems that he has. At times, he's half-assing his route because he knows he's not going to get the ball in a certain design play or something like that. He doesn't necessarily block all the time in the run game. And you're probably thinking to yourself, right, well, who cares? Why would a wide receiver chip in the run game and block every single down? It's the will. It's the want to. It's the need to aspect in your brain of, I need to do whatever it takes to help the team win, even if that's blocking a corner on the opposite side of the field during a run play. Oh my gosh, man! I'm not even a Steelers fan. I'm getting pressed about him because this guy has so much talent. That's why I get so pressed. He's not somebody that creates great separation as a receiver. He creates enough to get open at times, but his contested catch ability, his way of just bailing out quarterbacks because of the throws and catches that he can make on one-on-one coverage is truly special. It's something that you don't see a lot from receivers. But when it's paired with these sort of not mental, but just problems that he has on the field outside of that, it makes him a true head case in why the Steelers and Mike Tomlin are moving off of him. And Jerry Jones gets a trade of third, and this is kind of where I step in with Dallas because it's interesting to me. Are you trading for him to now give him an extension? This upcoming year, he'll be up to 24, making $3.6 million a year. It's the last year of his contract, only 4 years, no fifth-year option. Are you paying George Pickens 100, 150, like whatever he's going to be kind of demanding on top of the third round that you gave up? That seems like a Jerry Jones move. This is the same guy that traded a fifth, I believe it was, for Jonathan Mingo and also Trey Lance. I can't remember what exactly picks it was. I don't have it up in front of me. But for him to trade a third-round pick for a guy like George Pickens, I could easily see him giving him that extension to be wide receiver 2 along CeeDee Lamb. And for the Dallas Cowboys, I'm done with my Steelers kind of rant. I understand why they did it, but if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, and even if they do, we're sitting here May 8th. I mean, there are serious question marks and serious concerns with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now and the way that their roster is constructed for a team that every year it's the same story. 500, a little bit over 500, make it in the playoffs, first round exit. Rinse, wash, repeat. And Pittsburgh fans are getting tired of that. They don't want the participation trophy of, hey, we made the playoffs for X amount of years in a row. Hey, we had a winning season for X amount of years in a row. They don't care. They don't care. It's nice. It's formidable to have a team that good every single year. It puts a good product on the field, obviously. But if you're not winning divisions, if you're not winning championships, they don't care. Those are the type of fans. They're passionate fans, man. It's the same people who are chanting "sell the team" at Pirates games in the first week of the MLB season. These guys deserve a better, not a better product, because like I said, they are winning games, but they deserve a championship aspiration team, right? I'm not saying that the Steelers don't have those aspirations, but this offseason, they have went backwards, in my opinion. Extremely backwards, even with adding DK Metcalf. Here, now I'm officially done. Moving on. This is awesome for George Pickens. He gets to play alongside CeeDee Lamb, who primarily can play a lot in the slot, will bounce out at times, but he's very, very good in the slot. This gives Dak Prescott a true wide receiver 2 and a true deep threat weapon, okay? George Pickens provides them or a true deep field presence, something that like analytically they have lacked in previous years with Jalen Tolbert, Kavonte Turpin, a couple other receivers that they had in 3-4 formation sets. They've just lacked the downfield threat. So what better way to fix that problem than to add one of the best in the league? The offense, and this is no longer Mike McCarthy, so it's going to be interesting to see what kind of offense, what we see from the Dallas Cowboys with Brian Schottenheimer this upcoming year. But this provides another element to their offense. It provides a different weapon, a different look. For a team where they're going into the season with kind of a makeshift running back room, right? They drafted Jaden Blue from Texas, who's young, and then they're going to be relying on Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams to kind of help somewhat carry the load to have some production for that team on the run game. I understand it from their perspective to go out and get another wide receiver too, because before him, right, Amari Cooper was a free agent. He was kind of in the mix. Will they bring him back? But their wide receiver too was Jalen Tolbert. So this was well needed for Dallas. For the third round pick, if you are going to pay him, I guess I can somewhat make a case for it. Like, how many times are you really hitting on a third round pick, especially in a draft class next year on the offensive side of the ball that I think is going to be way worse than recent years in the NFL draft. So I get it. It'll just be interesting. It's going to be something we have to see. You can't really sit here and predict what it's going to look like. I could, if it was Mike McCarthy, I could have a better idea of how we're going to be seeing George Pickens in this offense. But because it's Schottenheimer, how much of that offense are we going to see change now that he's running it, right? I know that he's obviously the offensive coordinator getting the bump up in promotion, but Mike McCarthy was the one calling the plays there and really handling the load in terms of offensive production for the Dallas Cowboys. So it'll be interesting to see where they go and what they do with George Pickens. And maybe this is just a case for him where he gets a fresh kind of new setting. I just hope that he kind of cleans it up, man. If he can just stop doing dumb shit. He is extremely talented. He has so much room to grow, which is the scary part. He's having these years where he's like good numbers, good production, and I don't even think we're seeing the best part. The best version of him, I should say, right? I want to look at this real quick, because this past season, 900 yards, 3 touchdowns, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, where Russell Wilson went completely blank towards the end of the season. In that playoff game versus Baltimore, 5 for 5 on targets and receptions, 87 yards and a touchdown. I mean, we all know the highlights, right? We all know what George Pickens is capable of. It's just concerning when the recent history that Mike Tomlin has had moving off of receivers, it's nobody else but Jerry Jones would take the risk on that. That's the best way to put it. So it's kind of my reaction to it. We'll see. As a lot of these trade things, we can sit here and speculate all we want, but time will really tell, man. So appreciate you guys watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We out.